Greeting, welcome to and/or welcome back to my YouTube page. Hi, hello, I'm Fire Lotus the Witch, and this is going to be Magical Experiences Part 2. So, if you haven't already, go check out Part 1, and I will try to link that in the description. So this one's very, very cool, and this is the one where I realized that, holy shit, energy exchange with people is real. So, I was hanging out with a friend, and we were hanging out in their apartment, and I'd kind of been crashing with them on their couch for a while, and they have a roommate. So their roommate, we're all in we're gonna say Bill, we're all in Bill's room, watching I think we were watching anime, and the roommate comes in and is like, hey, I just want to let you know I'll be inviting a friend over, but they're like, Lotus, you and her may get along because she's into the same witchy woo-woo that you're into. And I'm like, I'm intrigued, okay? Now, take in mind, I'm extremely comfortable where I'm at. That is key, okay? Because when I get extremely comfortable, I kind of just let my energy expand. So, I'm just sitting there chilling, right? And she comes in, and as soon as she comes in, it was almost like static electricity. So I'm like, okay. So I'm up at the top of the bed, and she's down here at the foot of the bed, right? And we're both watching, right? So her back is turned to me. And I was like, all right, let's try this. So there are energetic techniques to where you can expand your energy. You can push your energy out, your aura, to the point where you connect with somebody else. You can also do this with thoughts. It's tricky. Sometimes it's a hit or miss. But the prime example of this, because I am going to be very aware of how I describe using energetic things, right? So, this is like the moment where you're with your significant other, or you're with your roommate, brother, sister, friend, coworker, somebody that you were constantly around. And those moments where you look at one another and you're like, literally, it's like you share a thought. It's like you sync up on the same brain wave radio station, right? So this is basically, that's what I mean by pushing your energy and your thoughts and things like that outward. So, we're sitting there, and I pushed out a thought, and I was like, okay, if you can feel this, if you can hear this, give me a sign. And she kind of turned back and kind of like smiled at me, and I was like, holy shit, okay, no, that could have been a fluke. That was totally a fluke. So I really tried, and I did it again, and I was like, all right, if you see this, let me know. If you feel this, let me know. She turned around again. And I was like, okay, there's no way. There's no. It's all a coincidence, and I don't even believe in coincidence. So I was like, all right, last one. I was like, if you're connecting with me, turn around and give me a full sign. Y'all, she turned around and waved at me. So I'm sitting there in complete and utter shock, and the conversation starts, we're randomly talking about hair dye, because I was planning on dyeing my hair and adding some tips. So I started to, and she comes in there and she's like, do you mind helping? I do hair on this side. I'm like, of course. So we start talking, and she's like, so I just wanted to let you know, yes, I received everything that you sent me. And I was like, there's no way this is actually happening. And she looked at me and she goes, you have no idea, Lotus. When I walked in this apartment, stepping through the door, it was like there was just like a rainbow, like energetic rainbow, bright and colorful all over the place. And the moment that you saw me, it was like you just closed everything off. So that was one of the moments that is extremely crucial to me. And you're going to have these two in your spiritual moments. Either A, you're going to question your entire reality and question if you are completely losing your marbles, or the fact that this is real. And the reason those moments are important, now it's also important to note, do not rush them, okay? You will receive this moment when you receive it, okay? We're all going to have moments like this. We're all in different points of our spiritual journey. But when you have those moments are the moments that you fall back on when you start doubting yourself. And that's going to lead into a semi-off-the-topic topic. In the spiritual community, you will find people that will see your potential, and unfortunately, instead of trying to nurture it, they will try to squash it. And all it really takes is to implant self-doubt. Once you implant self-doubt, it's over. It's not really over, but it takes a long time to be able to extract and to be able to rip out those roots of that place, right? And as an amazing YouTuber and practitioner, not YouTuber, podcaster. And if you have not already checked out their podcast, please do. Seba, I hope and pray I said that right. The Southern Fried Witch, amazing. But she did an episode that basically states that sometimes we forget how magical we actually are. And sometimes people can also cause that as well. So don't forget how magical you are, all right? Okay, so here's another. It's a magical experience, but I don't exactly know where it kind of fits in with that. So before I am where I am in now in life, I was living in Enterprise, and I used to work at this amazing New Age shop. Now, when I first started working at this New Age shop, I lived about 35 minutes to an hour away. And there's a specific neighborhood that you have to we go by every day. And for some reason, I kept being called to this neighborhood over and over. Like I would be in like a passenger seat, and I would just look out the window, and it was literally felt like I was being called. And I'd always, when I felt that calling, I would always make a mental note, but I never understood why until I met somebody. This particular person, we started talking on, I think Plenty of Fish, and I went over to hang out with them, and that's when I discovered. So in this particular neighborhood, there's two ways that you can get in. There's multiple ways, but there's two main ways. The road that I kept being drawn to that led into that neighborhood was the front entry, is what it was called. We did not take that much. So when I first went over to their house, because they had a bunch of roommates too, shout out if you see this, I went over there, I met him, and unbeknownst to me, it was the exact same neighborhood that we were supposed to live in, or that I was being drawn to, which eventually I did, in fact, basically live there for almost about a year and a half. And the reason I brought this up is because it's happened to me multiple times. There was a point in time here in Florida where the same thing happened. We would be driving down the road, and take in mind, this is the second year that I was here, so I knew of the city that I lived in, but I didn't know a lot, right? We'd never really exploring. And I was always drawn to this neighborhood, and every single time I would go by it, no matter what I was doing, even talking to, like, having a conversation with my partner, I would automatically just stop and look over, like I was being called there. Some random shit took place that I'm not really going to get into, but just say the certain steps that took place that led me to meet the owner of this particular trailer, who, unbeknownst to me, eventually would become our roommate and was also an open practitioner. But there were a couple of weird steps that happened to line everything up by proxy of it. So yeah, if for any reason you ever get a pull, what do I mean by this? So I'm pretty sure in some point in time, if you've never experienced witchcraft or anything like that, you've had moments where your intuition has guided you. Whether you knew it or not, your intuition is real. And there are even some recent studies on the scientific aspect of our intuition. But this is the moment where, say you walk by a place and for some reason you feel like you need to go in or you need to go there, but you never do, and then eventually something happens and you do in fact go there, only to realize you're going to wind up meeting somebody or something like that. And the reason I don't like having this conversation that much is because it leads into a very intense conversation that I love, but I myself am still trying to figure out where my beliefs go, and that is destiny and fate. As it stands right now, and if y'all would ever love to have that conversation, let me know, and I will try to do a live where that will actually be the topic of it here on YouTube. But I believe that there are some things and moments or people or steps in our lives that no matter what we do, in some way, shape, or form, it happens. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is sometimes when people think of fate or destiny, it's like you have one path, right? And what happens if you stir off that path? Sometimes, which you will, by the way, when we talk about spiritual paths, know that shit is not a straight line. It is literally like you handed a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old a crayon and said, draw. That is what your spiritual journey is going to be like, in some way, shape, or form. But it's those moments where you feel like you've strayed from your path, and then something out of the blue happens to where you're actually redrawn back to it. There are so many moments like this that I could describe. the business or the job that I got at the New Age shop. Um, this for one, this will also help you if you do a job spell and then you fill out applications. I used to go in there. I was broke as fuck. I was sleeping on the couch with my roommates. As in I was crashing over there, which eventually the farm that became my place of home for about a year and a half to 2 years. Anyways, um, I would go in there with one of my roommates and I would buy the little tumble stones that they have for like 25 cents. And I did this repetitively for almost a year. And then I walk in there and the assistant manager at the time looked at me and they're like, "You're Lotus, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I had messaged them on their Facebook page too, like seeing if they were hiring. And she remembered. They remembered seeing me talk about all the books and everything like that. And they're like, "You've not seen the Facebook post?" And I'm like, "What Facebook post?" And they're like, "We're hiring." I filled out the application and I got the job. And I worked there for like 2.5 years. It was the most incredible experience ever. Um, I learned so much. I met so many amazing people. I helped so many people start their journey into witchcraft. And if y'all did not know that, yes, I was technically multiple people's mentors in a way, as in I wasn't teaching them as much as I was kind of help guiding them along. And this was way before content. So if at any point in time you were meant to become a teacher or a mentor, or there's a specific thing that you're meant to do in the magical, metaphysical world, you will do it. Whether you realize you're doing it, you're going to do it. But yeah, I wanted to share these. I have to think deep because I know I've got a couple of other stories, but yeah, I hope you enjoy this. If for any reason if you make content, you want to do a video response, just tag me in it. If you would like to let me know of what is it called? Synchronicity. That was the term that I was looking for earlier. There's a lot of synchronicities in life. You just gotta sometimes connect the dots. And then other times there are no dots and shit just randomly happens. The reason I wanted to add that is because do not get into the habit of thinking everything is a divine sign. I'm going to be making a video on that very shortly. We're going to be talking about bioregionalism in that as well, because that plays into it. But if you get into the habit of thinking every single thing you experience is a divine sign, you're going to wind up going crazy. And I mean that metaphorically and possibly literally. In spirituality, there's a very fine line and a very important line of keeping one foot in reality at all times, no matter what you do. Because if not, then things will get a little chaotic. But yeah, thank y'all so much. I want to keep this video short. But yeah, if you've had any synchronicities or amazing experiences, please share it down in the comments. And as always, if you made it to the very last end of this video, what is your favorite flower or floral? Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell icon so you get all the notifications when I go live and or post videos. Until then, you're magical as fuck, and I'll see you soon.